Now the program will be started and continued by our second resource person, respected Professor Mukut Hazarika sir. Before going to that, I would like to draw a quick background of respected Professor Mukut Hazarika sir. He is also designated as the Professor of Department of Education, Dibrugarh University. He is continuously doing his contribution into the field of teaching, learning, and guiding research scholars, and different research works, and basically different administrative roles and responsibilities. And he has been working in the field from more than 30 years. And today we have the honor to have you, sir. So, sir also held the prestigious position of Dean School of Education, Dibrugarh University, coordinator, NAC peer team to different institutions, NCTE visiting team to different institutions, then chairperson Administrative Audit Committee, Dibrugarh University, director Distance Education, Dibrugarh University for so many years, then director College Development Council, and I have to add so many institutions and organizations I continue to say about sir. And he is also, he continued his service and live member as in All India Association Educational Research, Northeast India Education Society, Assam chapter of All India Association for Educational Research. His area of interest are measurement and evaluation, teacher education, then educational research, science and mathematics education, etc. This is a very short introduction about EOSA, but due to time convenience, I now would like to request you to continue and present your session. Thank you, sir.
Well, respected principal of the Lakhimpur Girls College, Dr. Bhuya, my colleagues, the IQAC coordinator and the head of the Department of Education, my student, in fact, Nivedita, and all the participants who have been in this session. I welcome all of you to this session. In fact, in the earlier session, in detailed discussion on a few rules of research have already been made. We see that in social science research, we use a number of tools which are not that exact as the tools that we use in physical science or physical science research. Many a time the researchers are in dilemma whether what type of tools they will use, whether a tool which was used earlier in, say, UK or in Delhi or in Mumbai or in Rajasthan could be used effectively in their own place, own region. And many times it was instructed they need to find out reliability and validity. And many researchers follow without knowing why they are doing that. And many feel that standardization is nothing but finding out reliability and validity. But the term standardization is quite a broader one. So this session is aimed at the researchers who have been the target group is the ones who are doing research or who want to do research and who have been trying to guide other researchers. Now, let me share my screen with you. The basic objective of this session are these. After completion of this session, you will be able to explain the concept of standardization of research tools and techniques, discuss the need and importance of standardizing research tools and techniques, explain the concept of validity and its different types, explain the concept of reliability and different techniques of estimating reliability of the research tool, and standardize different tools and techniques of social science research. In social science research, we have a number of different tools. Like we have psychological tests, we have different inquiry forms, like questionnaire, checklist, different sigils, opinionaire, etc. Then we have observation, interview, sociometric techniques. So all these tools are there, tools and techniques are there in social science research. Now, I'll try to give a common idea of standardization of these tools for all these tools. Now, let us observe the following situations. You observe these situations. Here, an intelligence test is administered to a sample of class 10 students at 9 a.m. the first period of the day. The same test is administered to another group of class 10 students at 2:30 p.m. the last period of the day. As a researcher, what is your observation? Would you be able to compare the intelligence of the two groups? Look here, the first test is administered at 9 to one group, it was administered at 2:30 to the next group. Now, even if the test is a good one, then also there might be a difference in intelligence if you test it because of the differences in administration. Let us take another, say a questionnaire was administered by two different researchers, two different groups. The first researcher distributes the questionnaire, read out the instructions and observes the group silently. She does not even reply to the queries of the respondents. The second researcher, on the other hand, explains the instructions, observes the respondents and clarifies the doubts of the respondents whenever. Now, these are two situations for the same tool administration to two different groups. Now, due to the administration, the method of administration, there may be a difference in the outcome in the data. So, do we expect a difference in the outcome due to the different behaviors by the two researchers? So, that difference may not be due to the actual information or actual facts that we are eliciting from them, but it may be due to difference in the administration situations. Let us take another example. In another, if you just read it, complain that they were not given sufficient time to complete an achievement test. Their main complaint was that they were given only 1 hour to complete the test, while another group of respondents were given 2 hours to complete the same test. Now, the time limit, due to that time limit, we may not get a comparable situation result. So, if we consider that the questionnaires were quite good, but even because of the administrative procedure, the procedural administration, there may be differences in the outcome. So basically, when we talk of standardization of a tool, any tool of research, we basically mean is making uniform. So there may be three types of uniformity: the uniformity in administration, uniformity in scoring, and uniformity in interpreting the scores. So in order to keep uniformity in administration, the instructions, there should be proper written instructions, preliminary demonstrations should be given, instruction for handling respondents' queries should be given, and it should be in detail. On the other hand, for ensuring accuracy, consistency, and quality in measurement, in scoring, we need to estimate validity and reliability of the tool. And for ensuring quality in interpretation of the scores, we need to determine norms and prepare different norm tables. However, in this session, we will be restricted to the first two. We will not be discussing here this regarding norms and preparing different norm tables. First, let us see two very standard tools in behavioral science research. One is Rorschach inkblot test. So they have a very standardized and administrative procedures. And whenever someone administers those tests, they have to follow those procedures very strictly. For example, in Rorschach test, during administration, it is mentioned. They will show the card. What does it look like? What could this be? On the other hand, later it was modified a little bit by Prof and Kelly, and it was like this. People see all sorts of things in these inkblots. Now tell me what you see, what it might be for you, what it makes you think of. Thus, whenever one administers the tool, they have to use these words. Even the thematic perception test, that is TAT, is more specific. They have given different instructions for different groups. Just I have quoted the instruction for normal adults in the first session. There may be 2 sessions. So instructions for normal adults in the first session. It is very clearly mentioned this, and everyone who wants to administer TAT has to follow this. This is a test of imagination. I shall show you some pictures, one at a time, and your task will be to describe a story. Your story must include what has led up to the event shown in the picture, what is happening in the moment, what the characters are feeling and thinking, and the outcome. Express your thoughts as they come to your mind. Do you understand? You can devote about 5 minutes to each story. Here is the first picture. They will start demonstrating one by one. These instructions are different for children below the age of 14. It is different for the adults which are not considered to be normal. So in the second session, the procedure is given like this. The procedure today is the same as before. Your first 10 stories were excellent and coherent, but you mostly kept yourself confined to the facts of everyday life. Now I would very much appreciate seeing what you can do when you disregard the realities of everyday life and let your imagination have its expression. As in a myth, fairy story, or allegory. Here is picture number 1. So like that, everything is uniform and made standardized. So this way, when we try to construct a tool, the instruction should be very specific. What one should say to the respondents, what should be the time limit, whether the administrator should help them when necessary or not. All this should be mentioned very properly so that it can be used uniformly by all the administrators. So this is one part of standardizing a tool. Now let us go to the second part. Here, the standardization of the scoring by the tool. So one major standard component here is the validity of the research tool. By validity, we all know that it is the extent to which it measures the purpose for which the test is or the tool is prepared. Look at the figure.
Sir, your screen is not coming, sir.
You see?
The screen is not coming.
But it is mentioned, it is sharing. You are screen sharing. Hello? Hello? Maybe it may be.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay. See? That means the tool should hit the bullseye. So for whom, for what purpose we are preparing the tool, it should hit that. It should be able to measure that. And that is very much visible in physical science tools, the tools that we use for in physical science. Let us take some examples. Okay, it's a general knowledge test. Can you recognize these equipments? These equipment, can you recognize? Can you name this? Well, anyone? Well, this is everyone knows that this is a sphygmomanometer, or simply we know it as a blood pressure monitor. And we are all aware, whenever we see this instrument, that it is meant for measuring blood pressure. It will not measure anything else, of course. In certain equipment, you will find that the other features are also included. But basically, it is meant for measuring blood pressure. Similarly, this instrument is a glucometer meant for measuring blood sugar. And we are convinced that it is measuring blood sugar. This one, we are very acquainted quite recently with this. This is a thermal scanner. We can get body temperature through microwave radiation scanning. And this is our very own tool, a measuring tool. So we are quite convinced that these tools, whatever they're meant for, are measuring that particular aspect. Now let us go to the next one. Next one. Do you recognize this? Can you recognize this? Yes, this is an ink blot of Rorschach ink blot test. This one, this is the picture of thematic apperception test. This is also a picture taken from thematic apperception test. And this is an attitude inventory. Now, when someone asks us that what these tools mean, then we cannot directly say that it is measuring personality or one is measuring attitude. It's very difficult as to convince us that it is actually measuring that. But we very easily accept these tools. But why? There comes the concept of validity. So when we talk of validity, the term validity means truthfulness or faithfulness. It refers to the degree to which a test measures what it wants to measure. But it has got two aspects. The validity of a test concerns what the test measures and how well it does so. It does not have to measure the aspect, but it has to measure it accurately. Now, okay, you can go through these slides. Now, this instrument, I think you are quite acquainted with this. It's very popular. It's an N95 mask. Do you know what does N95 stand for? What is meant by N95? Anyone? Anyone? Please raise hands. Well, this N95 is actually a measure of its validity. Here, N stands for that it does not permit oil. It is not valid for oil. And 95 is more important for the concept of validity. 95 means that this particular mask allows, this particular mask does not allow the particle as small as 0.3 micron to an extent of 95%. That is, in 95% cases, it does not allow that small particle to enter. Now we know that COVID-19 virus can enter, can go in a droplet of about the size about 5 to 10 microns. So the COVID-19, the validity is higher even to resist COVID-19 virus. So this is talking about validity. In most of the instruments that I have already shown, there you will find that plus minus 5%, plus minus 10%. It is correct to plus minus 5%, correct to plus minus 10%. It's written like that. So what does it mean? It means that is its accuracy, that is its validity. in a, even if you sometimes test your own blood sugar, then you don't do it once. You go for may go for more than once. When you go for blood pressure, then also you go for more than once. Why? Because we want to be sure. Now there are different types of validity. We have phase validity, content validity, criterion related validity, concurrent validity, predictive validity, construct validity, and all these validities, they in fact tell us about the some aspects of the fact that the measurement is accurate, or to what extent the measurement by that particular tool I don't know whether time will permit me. How much time can I take? How much time may I take more? Can anyone tell me?
Around 45 to 50 minutes.
And now I mean another 45 minutes.
Yes, sir. You can you need.
Then I can continue. Okay. Now first let us see the phase validity. Phase validity actually it is not a measure of validity, but it is the extent to which the tool appears to measure what it wants to measure. It may not be actually valid, but it appears to be valid. And that is why many researchers, they do not consider, do not take it very seriously, take this measure very seriously. Or in some other researchers, they feel that it also encompasses the content validity. However, most of the researchers, authors, they feel that it is the artificial validity, that to what extent the tool appears to be valid. For example, suppose we are preparing a test for admission test for Air Force. Suppose in the test we want to include items from arithmetic, want to see this unitary method. In the items we can put like the items like this, that if someone can run this much in 1 hour, then how much he or she will run in this many hours, like that, these type of problems. But instead of giving that type of problem, just we give a problem that if this aeroplane moves in 1 minute, 1 second, this much, how much time it will take to go to this, from this to this, like these type of problems where aeroplanes are involved, where different instruments that are used in Air Force are involved, then that test will look like somewhat valid. But both the test, earlier one or this one, may have the same value. But one of the very important validity measures is its content validity. For different questionnaires, for different interview schedules, content validity is very important, and every researcher needs to find out this content validity. This content validity refers to the extent to which the test will cover the content or the dimension, the different aspects that we are covering in the purpose of the tool. It is content validity assesses whether a test is representative of all aspects of the construct. To produce valid results, the content of the questionnaire, test, survey, or measurement method must cover all relevant parts of the subject it aims to measure. If some aspects are missing from the measurement, or if irrelevant aspects are included, the validity is threatened. Now, in order to establish the content validity of a research tool, first we have to very clearly define its purpose, outline different dimensions of the construct that we want to measure. The objectives of constructing the tool are precisely outlined. The aspects or dimensions covered by the construct to be measured are specified and operationally defined. And then we send the draft tool to some experts in the field with a request to examine whether the tool comprehensively covers all the aspects. The experts should know our purpose, know that he or she must know the dimensions that we want to include in our test or in our questionnaire. And sometimes we may use some rating scales also. We can provide some rating scales to the experts for providing comments regarding the items of the tool. So once we receive the responses from the experts, after getting their comments, necessary modifications are made in the tool by the researcher. And if it is a test, especially if it is an achievement test or some other, especially in case of achievement test, we can make this content analysis of the test. The researcher can himself or herself do it, or it can be these experts can be asked to do that. So this content analysis will show us whether, to what extent, how comprehensively the contents are being covered in the questionnaire or in the test. Next comes the criterion validity. Now, this different criterion related validity is assessed when one is interested in determining the relationship of the scores on a tool to a specific criterion. So how well that questionnaire is finding stack up against another instrument or predictor. Generally, there are two variants of this validity are generally found out. One is concurrent validity, the other is predictive validity. In case of concurrent validity, we try to see whether the questionnaire or the test or the tool is valid in comparison to some other tools at present. The measurement through some other tools at present situation. So here we need another tool or another way of measuring. It may not be a tool, it may be measurement of different other ways, but we need two measurements. One which we measured by the tool that we are preparing, and another one which we already know that it is a good tool of that particular construct. Let us see. This assesses the newly developed questionnaire against a highly rating existing standard. When the criterion exists At the same time, as the measure, we talked about concurrent validity. Concurrent validity refers to the ability of a test to predict an event in the present form. Suppose we want to construct an attitude scale, the attitude towards teaching. Now, there may be a number of other tools which measure attitude towards teaching. So if we want to find out the concurrent validity of our tool, then we will have to administer our tool as well as the tools which are being used by some other researchers which are considered to be standard. And then we'll try to find out the correlation between the two sets of scores. There's one set of score by our tool, another set of score by the tool which is considered to be already standard. And if we find that these two correlation is quite significant, the correlation is quite high, then we say that the concurrent validity of the tool is very high. Then we go to the predictive validity. Sometimes in certain tools, we want to know what will be their future performance, what will be the future performance of the respondents, not the current performance. For example, I will take a simple example. See, if we want to see the effectiveness, the validity of an entrance test, we want to see how the respondents, or how the candidates or the respondents who took the entrance test will perform in future. In that case, first we'll administer the tool we are preparing, that is the entrance test. Then after few months or few days, say after going through the particular training or course, we will measure their performance with another tool. Then we will try to find out the correlation between these two sets of data. The data obtained from the entrance test and the data of their performance. If the correlation is high, then its predictive validity will be high. So it assesses the ability of the questionnaire or instrument to forecast future events, behavior or attitudes or outcomes. This is assessed using correlation coefficient. Predictive validity is the ability of a tool to measure some event or outcome in the future. Then comes the construct validity. So construct validity is the extent to which the test measures the construct for which the test is prepared. The psychological construct we are talking about, the theoretical construct. And it does not have a criterion for comparison, or rather it utilizes a hypothetical construct for comparison. Generally, we use different types of validity to find out the construct validity of the tool. One is convergent validity. Say we have an we are constructing an intelligence test, and we already know that that construct intelligence can be measured with another tool, the standard tool. Now, to what extent the measures from our tool and the measures from the standard tool are correlated, that is the convergent validity. So the tools which are meant for this construct how far those tools are being correlated with the tool which we are using, that will give us the convergent validity. On the other hand, the discriminant validity is just opposite. Here we want to see whether our tool and a different tool which measures a different construct, whether these two tools have got low correlation or not. If they have low correlation, that will mean that they discriminate. That means that discriminant validity is high. If the tool which was meant for intelligence also correlates with another tool which measures a different construct instead of intelligence, and the correlation, if it is high, then our tool may not measure intelligence. It might measure something else. So this is how we try to see whether the construct validity is there or not. Another statistical technique is there, which is factorial validity, where we take a number of tests or number of instruments measuring different constructs. One, the construct we are the tool we are going to measure, and the other tools will measure some other constructs, and we'll see their intercorrelations, and ultimately we'll use some statistical techniques like factor analysis, which we will not have time to discuss here. Factor analysis, and from that we'll try to find out what is the factor loadings, and on the basis of that we'll find out its extent of its value. And this is hypothesis testing validity. And here, if we have the evidence on the basis of a theory that there is a relationship of our construct with some other construct, and if this tool can measure that satisfactorily, we will say that its construct validity is high. So these are the main types of validity we need to find out. But one should remember that all these validities may not be required for all the tools. A questionnaire for gathering information may not require construct validity. It may not require predictive validity. So as a researcher, we should know what type of validity will be required for what type of tool. Now, there are different factors that we should take care of which influence validity. There are factors that influence validity. So one factor is length of the tool. You have to be very careful. If the length of the tool, the number of items in the tool is very less, then there is a possibility that its validity becomes low. Higher the number of items, higher will be the validity of the tool. Then it also depends on the sample on the basis of which we try to find out the validity. Say range of ability of the sample group. If the sample is very homogeneous, in that case, its validity will be shown low. If it is a heterogeneous group having a long range of ability within the group, in that case, the tool will show that the validity is high. So we have to be very careful while selecting the sample on which we want to administer the test or the tool to measure the validity. If the directions that we mentioned earlier, the directions in the test are ambiguous, that they might be misunderstood by different administrators. In that case also, the validity of the tool may be low. So we have to be very careful in constructing as well as in administering the tool in order to find out its validity. Then, if some inappropriate items are there, so while constructing the tool in different instruments, we will take content validity, or we will do item analysis, etc. And we have to get rid of the inappropriate items, because inappropriate items due to inappropriate items, the validity is lower. Then socio-cultural differences. Many times the tools which are prepared may not be applicable for the group for which where we are using this finding out validity. Now let us go, this time is short, let us go to the other concept, the reliability. Look at the pictures here. Here, in the first picture, all the three arrows are hitting the target. That means they are hitting the same target at the same point. They are quite consistent. In the second one, they are not hitting the bullseye, but still they are hitting very consistently at the same point. So in both the cases, the one who has the bow is quite consistent. Quite consistent. In the first case, we said that it is both valid as well as reliable. Consistency is the reliability. To what extent it is consistent? But in this case, though it is consistent, but it is not hitting the main purpose. So it is not quite valid, but it is quite reliable. So reliability basically means the consistency with which the particular tool measures what it wants to measure. Now let us see the validity, the relationship between validity and reliability. We have four different pictures. Four different. Here, all the scores are scattered, not in the target. So here it is not both unreliable and unvalid. In this case, it is not reliable. The scores are not consistent. But it is, if we take the average, then we find that we might get a correct result. Suppose my blood pressure is 100, or this systolic is 120. Once I got 80, in one measurement I got 120, in another measurement I got 160. The total I will get, average we will get 120. It looks like valid, but it will not actually be valid, as well as actually be reliable as well. Here it shows that it is reliable but not valid, and here it is showing reliable but both reliable and valid. Generally, we use four different four different techniques of reliability. There are four major techniques of finding out reliability of the test. One is test-retest reliability, alternate form or parallel form reliability, internal consistency reliability, which can be broken into two: split-half reliability and methods of rational equivalence. Okay, I'll be very brief. I know the time constraint. In the test-retest reliability, the same tool is administered twice after a certain gap of time, and then the scores obtained from these two administrations are compared. The data are compared. If it is in score form, then correlation is found out. Otherwise, even qualitative data can be compared. So if the correlation is high, if both the data in both the administrations correlate, then we say that its reliability is quite high. Test-retest reliability is high. In the alternate form or parallel form reliability also, we administer the test twice. However, here we do not administer the same tool twice. We, in fact, we construct two tools. Both are equivalent. Both are meant for measuring the same construct. Items are also comparable. So we try to compare these two tools. We administer these two tools, and then we try to find out the correlation between the two administrations. If it is high, then it's reliable. Then the third technique, I'm going a bit fast. Okay, this shared. So next one is internal consistency reliability. Here, actually, we try to see whether the items that we include in the questionnaire or the test or the tool, all the items measure the same construct, same aspects. To what extent they measure the same construct? Are they consistent? That is what we try to find out through internal consistency reliability. And there are two different variants. There are two major variants. One is split half technique, where we divide the tool into two different halves. We split the tool into two different halves. These halves may be odd even. In this method, all odd number items constitute one part of the test, and all even number items constitute another part of the test. So since we got two separate halves, they act as two separate tests. And when we try to find out correlation between these two halves, we get a reliability, but that gives the reliability of the half test. So in order to find out the reliability of the full test, we have to use we have to take help of a statistical tool known as Spearman-Brown-Professor formula. So in this case, in case of internal consistency reliability, we need to administer the tool only once, unlike test-retest reliability and alternate form reliability. Similarly, the method of rational equivalence is a statistical technique where we use different formula given by Coulthard Richardson formula, researchers. Different statistical formulae are there. And here also we find out the internal correlations using the formula. We get some correlations. If the correlations are high, then this reliability is high. Here, in case of split half technique, we have split it into two halves. But in case of rational equivalence, the formula is such that it is as if we have divided the tool into numerous halves. So basically, they measure the same things, but this method of rational equivalence is considered to be more accurate. And for some tools, we also use convex alpha as well. So let us sum up. There are different factors that influence reliability. The length of the tools, length of the tool, range of the total scores, homogeneity of items, difficulty index of items. So these are different factors that influence the reliability. So we have to be very careful while constructing the tool in order to make it reliable. Due to time constraints, I could not give many examples in order to make it more understandable. But I hope this session will help you to some extent. I thank the organizers, the team webinar, for giving me an opportunity to interact with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time and such an interactive and such an informative session. We have learned so many things from your session about the preparation of standardization of tools regarding reliability and validity. Thank you so much, sir. Now I request Dr. Bhupen Setia, sir, Coordinator IQAC Lakhimpur Girls College, for giving vote of thanks lecture. Thank you.
Just I want to introduce myself. I'm Bhupen Setia from IQAC Coordinator of Lakhimpur Girls College. Actually, we have come to almost to the fag end of this session. We were expecting participation, but already this quite late. If we have some kind of specific query, we can definitely send it to you to about our speakers. Well, anyway, I, on behalf of Lakhimpur Girls College, would like to now thank you all. I know, sir, we have been organizing a series of webinars since the last 20 days from different fields in different fields, and in order to beat the, we have not been able to perform our regular works, all of us, and it has been, we have tried to see whether this can be a good platform for like-minded people to continue interacting with each other, especially in the field of activities. And among us, two prominent professors from the Department of Education, Dibrugarh University, Professor Manasi Gogoi and Professor Mukut Hazarika, sir and madam. I would like to offer our gratitude to you both for deciding to spend your valuable time with us, not only with our college only. We have been joined by so many scholars, intending research scholars. In fact, there are 581 people registered themselves for these research webinar on research methodology. And we have seen, we are glad to inform you that our participants are from various universities from across India, including University of Hyderabad, Rajiv Gandhi University, IIT Roorkee, of course, Dibrugarh University, Guwahati University, some downtown university. Most of the universities from Northeast, people from most of the universities from Northeast have participated in this webinar, and I would like to thank them all. Thank them also. Introduce us to kind of a model questionnaire for conducting a good research, especially in the field of education, with available inputs. And Professor Mukut Hazarika sir has introduced us to the area of standardization of the research tools. Specifically, in order to be a good research work, we need a valid and reliable tools. And he has dwelled on these two areas specifically to make a research work really valid, really reliable. And we must admit that in many cases, research works in India, in many of the research works don't even have validity, or they lack reliability, perhaps because of the lack of knowledge of proper methodology, using proper methodology. I hope this these two sessions, especially these two talks, will help most of all our participants. On behalf of Lakhimpur Girls College, I'd like to thank our honorable principal sir, Dr. Surajit Bhuya, also for his initiative in organizing this series of webinars. And I would like to thank the Department of Education, our head of the department, Robin Kakoti sir, is here, and of course, junior most Nivedita is here. She has been very active here, and she has lent a new, lease of life to the department. I would like to encourage her to do more, and I expect she will be doing good work under your supervision, your guidance. Thank you, sir and madam, again once again. And we have, of course, today we have faced some technical issues. This is a lockdown today. We are, all of us are inside our own homes, and perhaps it could have been done better had there been no lockdown today in Lakhimpur, in our places. I would like to thank our technical team, Dr. Midul Burag, Bhaskojit Bora, Dr. Porama Dutta, Dr. Kalidas Brahma, and a few more of our colleagues. And then it has. I hope this has been a very, very good session, and of course, it has helped all of us. And I would like now, on behalf of the principal, I'd like to declare that this webinar has come to the end. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much, all, sir and madam, and all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you.